Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? Welcome to my channel. If you found this video, it's because you are interested in the review that I am about to do of the Netflix anime live action adaptation of the manga turned anime City Hunter. So if you don't know what City Hunter is, it is a manga originally. Then it got turned into a Japanese anime in the 80s. And there have been some adaptations of this manga already. Like I said, you had the anime in the 80s, but then there was a Korean, I do believe it was Korean TV show that ran for a couple of seasons. It wasn't very long. And then you also had the Jackie Chan City Hunter movie that was released. And I've never seen the Jackie Chan City Hunter movie, but I've heard of it. The reason why I never really watched it was because I'm not like a huge Jackie Chan fan. So I was never really like super enthusiastic about watching it. But now I want to go back and watch all the other adaptations of City Hunter. I wasn't super familiar with City Hunter as an anime because I will say that I am not the biggest anime fan. I watch anime, and the animes that I do like, I like, and I'm a fan of those animes. And that's pretty much how it goes for me. I'm not like a huge anime buff. I don't know everything about anime. I will say that the animes that I do watch, and I will put out a video of my top 10 favorite animes, and they're, you know, the more popular ones, because just the simple fact that the more popular animes are the animes that make it to America. You have to understand that even though anime is really popular now, it's still a very niche genre of entertainment, and we don't get all the anime. So if you're an anime fan, you know that you have to scour the internet and find websites that allow you to, get these animes, because when I was growing up, the only place that we got anime or got to see anime in America was Adult Swim. And so all the animes how I got familiar with anime was through Adult Swim on the Cartoon Network. So those are the animes that I grew up with. I grew up with, the Bleach and Samurai Champloo and Naruto and, all the popular, Sailor Moons and all the popular animes, that made it over to America. And those were the ones that were dubbed. I don't do subtitles. So if it is an anime and it's super popular, but they don't have a English dub version of it, I'm not watching it. I don't do subtitles. I'm like, let it get popular enough to do a English sub, and I will be watching it. Now, with that being said, I am big on martial arts films, and, I do keep up with, even if I'm not familiar with the original anime, I keep up with live action anime adaptations, and I always have. I've always been that way, because I just love the idea of like our cartoons and the stuff that we grew up with, as kids being adapted into live action. Like, that's why I love Marvel movies and DC films and things like that. I just love seeing live action versions of these cartoons that we grew up with, that we love. I'm going to do my review of the Avatar live action adaptation, and that is going to be a little controversial. It depends on what side of the coin you stand on, but that's coming as well. But right now, I just really want to talk about the City Hunter Netflix live action adaptation, because I was floored on how well done this adaptation was. So if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. If you don't have Netflix, what's wrong with you? But yeah, it's on Netflix. It's that live adaptation of and actually, when I was looking at the interviews with the cast, and again, it's really hard because it is a Japanese production, they do have an English dub, and that's why I watched it, because it was an English dub. Again, I'm not doing subtitles, but in the process of learning more about City Hunter, and then I did go back and watch what I could watch of the anime, the 80s anime, what I could watch, because it's not easy to find. It's not easy to find. So I did watch that, and I do like it. I like it a lot. It reminds me so much of like our 80s cartoons that, and I grew up loving like Gargoyles and, it just reminds me of like a very American, even though it's the anime, like typical cartoon that I would have watched, in the 90s. I was born in the 80s, so I wouldn't watch in the 80s, but like in the 90s. And it's fun. I just like it because it's fun. So I did go back and watch a little bit of that and kind of get a vibe of the anime. But before I ever saw the anime, didn't know anything about it, I saw City Hunter. And I was like, oh, this seemed like a martial art film. Didn't even know it was an adaptation of a manga or anime. And so after I watched it and fell in love with it, I fell in love with the cartoon ishness of the adaptation. And I was like, well, this is weird for a martial arts film. This is weird. So I paused and I looked up City Hunter, and that's when I found out that it was actually a live action adaptation. And in the description, I don't even know if in the description of the Netflix, if they have that it's a live action adaptation, because I didn't really read it. I just kind of jumped into it and start watching it. So I had to like literally pause. I'm like, this is weird for it seems so cartoony. And then when I started looking up on Google, found out that it was a live action adaptation. And that's when I fell through the rabbit hole of everything City Hunter. So I'm going to get into my review of City Hunter, but that's just a little backstory of it. And so let me see. So I put on my Instagram, because I was so enthusiastic about, let me finish my other thought. I didn't finish my thought about how I kind of went through the rabbit hole of like the interviews with the cast and everything. The lead actor who plays Rio Saba. I'm not great with Japanese names. Don't knock me for it, okay? I don't speak Japanese. I've seen enough anime where I should be better with Japanese name, but Rio Saiba is the name of the lead character. And the actor who plays him is actually a very, I guess, popular Japanese actor, Ryohei Suzuki. Now I can get his last name because we have Suzuki, cars. It's pretty easy. I've been hearing that for forever, so it wasn't hard. So he did a fantastic job with embodying this character. Like I said, at the time that I started watching it, I didn't know it was a live action anime, but then I fell through the rabbit hole of City Hunter with the manga and the anime and the other live action adaptation. And I think they just did a phenomenal job. And I think he did a phenomenal job of embodying the character. But in the process of reading some of the interviews and stuff like that and kind of finding out, and then going online and seeing what people were saying, their reaction to the live action, adaptation, people were really praising his performance and then really praising the fact that, which I thought, but again, I wasn't like super well versed in City Hunter, so I didn't know if I was just like pulling it out the air. I'm like, no, this is real. I'm noticing this correctly, how well they adapted the humor and the cartooniness of the original anime, the original 80s anime. And then in the process of watching interviews with the cast that were done in English, he said that this live action adaptation was based on the manga, the original manga, as opposed to the anime. And I think one of the reasons why they did so well with this adaptation is because oftentimes, and they ran into this problem with the adaptation of The Witcher, where they couldn't figure out what exactly they were trying to adapt. Like before you even do an adaptation, and there are multiple adaptations of the original material, you need to figure out what it is you're adapting. So with The Witcher, one of the biggest problems I think they had, which they avoided with City Hunter, is that they sat down and they figured out, like, we're not doing an adaptation of the anime. We're doing, even though the anime is the more popular format of the story, we're doing an adaptation of the manga, right? Because the anime is still an adaptation of the manga. So they really dived into doing, hold on one second. Okay, so they really kind of delved into making the adaptation, or making this Netflix adaptation, reflect the manga. And they kind of set their sights on that and went with that. And it wasn't the confusion of trying to adapt all these different formats of the story. And I think that's where The Witcher kind of fell really short, is like, are you adapting the books? Are you adapting the games? Like, what exactly here are you adapting? Because you're pulling from too many different directions if you're not set on what exactly it is you're adapting, right? And so they made a decision to adapt the manga and stuck with that. And that was great. So the things that I absolutely loved about this live action adaptation, and actually I'm ranking it as one of my favorite live action adaptation. I know that doesn't say much because there's not a lot of live action anime adaptations that are great. But prior to this, it was One Piece. One Piece was like, although I was a fan of One Piece, I wasn't the biggest One Piece. It was an anime that I watched because it was on Netflix, so I was familiar with it before they came out with the live action version of it. But it was just one of those animes that I will watch when I just wanted the anime to watch. It wasn't like my top. I mean, it's in my top 10 favorites, but I wasn't like obsessed with One Piece the way some people are. I actually was pretty shocked to find out how popular One Piece was in the anime sphere because, like I said, I don't live in that space. So I just watch the animes that I like, and I'm not like a huge anime person. So I was really shocked to find out how popular One Piece was, especially with the animes that I love that I think are fantastic. I'm like, how is this more popular than my favorite anime? But anyway, so I do think One Piece was my favorite top tier live action anime adaptation. But I think City Hunter has knocked it out of its place and has become my favorite live action adaptation. So let's get into more reasons of why I think it's fantastic and why I think you should watch it. So one is the fact that they set their sights on adapting the manga, and they didn't really pay too much attention to the anime outside of the fact that it was the first visual representation of the story. And so parallels are going to be drawn, obviously. But as far as the story and adapting the story, they stuck to the manga. The thing that I really loved about this adaptation, which I am so happy they decided to stick to their guns, because it is the thing I think that torpedoes so many live action adaptations of animes, is the fact that they kept the over the top nature of the essence of the manga and the anime. Because at the end of the day, so we're just going to talk about the anime because it's just too hard. I didn't read the manga. I have literally never read a manga in my life. So when I'm familiar with stuff, it's because it's adapted into an anime. So we're just going to talk about the anime. So the thing I love about anime is the fact that it's wild and it's crazy and it's cartoonish, because at the end of the day, it's a cartoon, right? That's what it is. It is loud. It is obnoxious. They do things that are not realistic. They do things in anime that I love watching in anime, because it is a cartoon that if I saw it in a martial arts film, I'm like, no, I don't like that. That's so unbelievable. I'm not buying it. But because it's the anime, I love it, right? Like, I love all the over the top screaming and fighting and cartoony behavior and overacting and unrealistic fights between characters. That's what makes an anime, or a shonen anime anyway, anime. And I like it. So when you do an adaptation and you take all of those elements out of the adaptation, it kind of ruins it for me. You're making it too realistic, and that's not what anime is. And that's what I think torpedoed the Cowboy Bebop. If you haven't seen the Cowboy Bebop live action anime, I'm sure you probably have if you're into anime. People beat up on Cowboy Bebop really, really bad, and maybe I might do my review of that. But I'll just say for right now, I think City Hunter avoided the thing that Cowboy Bebop clearly leaned into, which was being too serious for an anime live action adaptation. Because at the end of the day, you're still adapting anime. And so when you watch, without giving away too many spoilers, if you go watch City Hunter, they have these moments in the movie where you're like, did they just, oh goodness, my light, what's going on with my light? Okay, I don't know what just happened with my light, but it seems like it just got dimmer. But anyways, so the thing that they avoided, that I love, my little doggy is over here. Apparently she's really interested in my review of this anime adaptation. But the thing that I loved about it is they didn't get too serious, and they have these moments where you're like, did they really do that? Like they have these. Okay, so basically what I'm telling you is, you're gonna watch it and you're going to have these moments of absolute cringe. They kept in the cringiness of the manga and the anime. They kept it in. And normally you were watching like, there's no way they're going to adapt this and put this in a movie and keep this in. These cringy moments. And if you're familiar with City Hunter, you know what cringy moments I'm talking about. They absolutely keep the cringe. They keep the cringe. These are these moments where you're like, no. The scene where Rio Saiba is, I don't want to spoil it, but it's a scene where he dances. If you know, you know. Mokuri, he dances, and I cannot believe the actor actually did this dance. And I'm just like, and Kaori is in the I guess, I don't know if it's a bar, strip club, whatever. And she has this look on her face while she's watching him do this dance. And I swear the look on her face was 100% my reaction. I literally got secondhand embarrassment watching it on TV. That's how cringe the moment is. And it's so perfectly placed. It's like perfectly placed cringe. And it embodies the cringe of an anime so perfectly. And I'm so shocked that they kept that. I'm so shocked that they did that. And so that's another reason why I thought the anime, the adaptation, the City Hunter Netflix adaptation was fantastic, because they kept these cartoony moments that absolutely do not work in live action. They don't. But because it's the anime adaptation, it works if you are an anime fan and you want to see that anime adapted into live action, right? And again, that's the thing that I did not like about the Cowboy Bebop adaptation. Cowboy Bebop is, and it's my top 5 favorite animes of all time. And for me to have been as bored out of my mind as I was while watching, I actually did like it. Like, I'm not as hard on the Cowboy Bebop live action adaptation as some people were. I actually did like it. I actually wanted another season, because the way that they ended it made me want to continue watching more. Although I know where the story is going. I was by the end of the adaptation, I know it's about Cowboy Bebop, but by the end of it, I was interested and wanted another season, and maybe they could have done better. But the thing that really turned me off with the Cowboy Bebop adaptation was the fact that it was so boring. It was so boring. Like, oh my God, how do you take one of the best, most popular animes and adapt it and make it insanely boring? And the one thing I could say about City Hunter, it was not boring at all. Now, let's get into the action. So as soon as you start watching the film, like within the first, I'm not even gonna say 5 minutes, let's say within the first 2 minutes, I don't know, I watched it like a good 4 or 5 times now, but I haven't watched it in like a week. So I can't remember exactly, but like within like the first, like as soon as the movie starts, it starts. Like, you don't have to wait for, that's another thing, when you're not familiar with the story and they have to set up the story and they have to set up the backstory and they have to set up the characters. This film did a fantastic job of taking you through the journey with these characters without giving you a bunch of boring, I'm trying to word this correctly, without giving you a bunch of boring, because I don't want to, it's like a lot of stuff is catching strays when I'm trying to do this review. I don't want Spider-Man to catch strays, but Spider-Man is the thing that comes to my mind whenever I think about them rebooting. Every single time they reboot Spider-Man, we got to get that same boring ass origin story. Every single time. And I guess if you've never seen Spider-Man or you're not a Spider-Man fan, that every time they reboot it and give you an origin story, maybe it doesn't irritate you and bother you and bore you to no end. But man, how many reboots and origin stories are we going to see of Spider-Man? I am so sick of seeing origin stories in Marvel films or just, comic book adaptation films. I don't want to see the origin story no more. I don't want to see it. And City Hunter did an amazing job of setting up the City Hunter. Oh my goodness, the light. City Hunter did an amazing job of setting up these characters in the stories without giving us another boring origin story. Because honestly, I couldn't take it. So it jumps right into the story. As soon as you start watching the film, it jumps right into the story, right into the action, and you pick up at the start of the plot. No origin stories. Although we get that throughout the movie, you figure out where these characters are going, and they're meeting each other, and the story is moving, so you don't have to go through a boring origin story. And I love that. It's like whoever made this adaptation was like, we're not going to do this to these people. We're not going to bore the piss out of them with setting up your whole backstory. They're going to get the gist of it as we go through the story. So it kicks right in. As soon as you start watching the movie, it kicks right in. And then from there, it gets, they have these goofy moments that they, let you know that, hey, this is a live action adaptation. I think because, like I said, I wasn't super familiar with the manga or the anime, or I wasn't familiar with it at all before I watched the Netflix movie. And so it's funny because I didn't know how I felt about it when I first saw it. But you know how in martial arts, in a lot of anime, I think the biggest criticism with martial arts is the fact that you have these films where these people are doing all these martial arts, and at the end of the day, we live in a world where you have guns. It's like, yeah, you can do all that unless it's set back in a time period before guns were invented. I'm just gonna blow your head off. Like, that's just what we're gonna do. And we accept, because it's a martial art film, that nobody is using guns. The thing I do like about City Hunter, is realistic. It's set in real times, and people do have guns. I don't know if Japan is a country that has guns. I know they don't have guns in England, but I live in America, and guns are a big thing in America. So we have guns here. So the idea of everybody just going around kicking and punching each other in a very updated, real, adaptation of a movie or anime, a movie, and nobody has guns. All these bad guys, nobody has guns. So this story incorporates guns, and the fact that, so if you know anything about City Hunter, like him and the way he handles guns is very fast. It's super quick. It's very intricate. And when I was actually watching one of the interviews with the actor, he was saying that it wasn't CGI, and I was like, there's absolutely no way that's not CGI. That's clearly CGI, because there's no way you can, because it's very real to the anime. Like, he does all this, disassembling guns, and the way that he shoots guns and reloads guns, and without looking at the gun, but he does it like super quick. And I think when he was Ryohei Suzuki, the actor who plays Ryo Saiba, when he was talking about, because I was asking him about the gun stuff in the film, and he was saying that they didn't use CGI, and he had to disassemble a gun in 2 seconds or something. I'm like, no, that can't happen. But he swords him down. There was no CGI, and he did it all himself, and he did it in a couple seconds. So if you watch the movie and you see how they how Ryo Saiba handles guns in the movie, I thought that was really impressive. It made me interested, and normally I'm not. How interested I'm going to be as somebody, shooting the gun, but it's super interesting. And then, again, the story moves. It doesn't have these long periods of lull or boredom or exposition. It moves. And I absolutely love the characters. I was so devastated. I was within the first, 10-15 minutes of the movie, I'm not going to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but a character dies in the movie, and within those 10-15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, I got really attached to that character, and I'm like, whoa, don't kill him. And so I got really attached to that character. But then I also like Kaori, who is the love interest, the female protagonist and the love interest of Ryo Saiba. I love their dynamic. I absolutely love their dynamic. And I didn't think I was going to love it. I didn't think I was going to love it because I'm not like a huge romance person when it comes to the shows that I watch. Like, that's one of the reasons why I watch science fiction, because it doesn't have a lot of romance. Like, I'm so sick of everything that you watch having to have like a romance in it between characters. I'm just like, ugh, I hate it. But I actually like absolutely thought Carrie and the actress that plays her, I'm like, oh, she's so cute. She's like a little puppy. You just want to protect her. And so, yeah, I totally get the ship between Rio and Carrie. Like, how do you not? So the characters I absolutely loved. What else did I love about the adaptation? I loved how, again, they had these moments of really cartoon, like over the top acting. Like, some people would call it overacting, but if you are familiar with anime, it's not overacting. It's literally them acting like the anime characters, because like, so I love an anime where they do these, these moments where they're talking really normal, like, hey, no, like they just get really overacting for like no reason, or really excited for like no reason at all, or start screaming something, or just snap out of nowhere for like no reason. That's just typical in anime, and they do that in the film. So if you're not like into anime and you're not familiar with that, and then you watch this movie and you're like, what is that? But it's so on point for an anime adaptation, and I absolutely loved it. Now, the one criticism that I will say about, which is like the criticism that everybody has kind of said about the adaptation, and then I'll get to the last couple of things that I liked about it, and then I'll wrap this review up, is the final fight scene between I don't know what the character's name is, but he was like genetically engineered, and he's like the big guy. You if you watch the film, you know what I'm talking about. It's the final fight scene. It's like the boss fight scene. That was lackluster, honestly. It was I think every fight scene up to that point I was really interested in, and very well done. The final fight scene was supposed to be like the boss level when you play a video game and you get to the boss. He was genetically engineered, so he was supposed to be the one that really was able to give Ryo Saiba a run for his money, because obviously he was just kicking everybody's ass up to that point. And it really did. It gave Batman versus Bane vibes. So I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it definitely didn't give Batman versus Bane energy. Like, it was supposed to be that, like, equivalent to that fight, because it's supposed to be somebody who can match Ryo Saiba. Nobody else can. So this is the guy that can, because he's genetically engineered. But it really was lackluster. It was kind of pointless. I really just wanted them to get to the next scene. I was like, okay, let me just get over this and get to the next scene. So that I really didn't enjoy. That's the only fight I did not enjoy. And the only reason that makes it so disappointing, because it was supposed to be the big bad of the film, and it was lackluster. So there's that. And then the last thing I'll say about the film that I really loved was the music. I really love the music. I really love how they incorporated some of the original music from the anime. The very last song is called Get Wild Continuum, and I absolutely love this. Like, I was listening to it, and I'm not like somebody who loves, and I was going to get a lot of heat, I don't like anime theme songs. I don't like it. I don't like them. They're always loud and like obnoxious, and they all kind of sound the same, and I don't like them. I know other people really do like theme songs of animes. I don't. This is the first anime theme song that I've ever liked. Get Wild Continuum. You can get it on Apple Music. I love that song, and I felt like the final scene between Rio and Kaori in the movie was so cute. And I can't even describe to you how cute it is without giving spoilers, but it's so cute. And it ended like an anime. It ended like you just got anime vibes. Like you were watching an anime come to life. It is so well done, and it's so cute. And it was a great way to end a film and set up a second film, and hopefully Netflix does that. Netflix doesn't screw us again and give us what we want, give us a sequel or give us a live action series. But again, Netflix have a way of never giving you the thing that you want and canceling everything that you love. So I'm not too hopeful. I know it did really well outside of the US. It did really well in Japan. Internationally, it did really well, but I don't know, how Netflix is when it comes to what they decide to renew and not renew, or it's hit or miss with Netflix. But I definitely think that we deserve a second movie, and if it was turned into a live action series, that would be great. I will watch it all day. But I give it a 9 out of 10. And I'm being serious when I say I give it a 9 out of 10. I know some people had issues with like little stuff, but you know how fans are, especially if you're fans of the original thing, you nitpick things. And some people didn't like the music. They think the music kind of fit. And I will say, when I first watched the movie, the music did throw me off a little bit, because I didn't know why, but I wasn't really feeling the music as a vibe. I'm getting a call right now. That's why I stopped. But my phone says it stopped recording, but it's clearly still recording. So I'm just going to keep going. If I find out that it stopped, then I'll come back and record this last bit. But so the music kind of threw me off a little bit, and I didn't know why it really did. And it wasn't until I was like online reading other people's reviews, and someone said that the music reminded them of like an 80s spy movie. So if you watch it, you're going to notice the music. You're definitely going to notice it now, because I mentioned it, and it does kind of give off like 80s, like Pink Panther spy movie vibes, which, okay, cool. But the last song, Get Wild Continuum, to end the movie was perfect. It was the perfect tone. It was perfect, and I loved it. So yeah, I definitely give it a 9 out of 10. People might think I'm being a little generous, so I say if you watching this and you were kind of like, some other things I didn't like about it, I say 8.5 at the least out of 10. But I thought it was a fantastic anime adaptation, and I really hope we get more. So that's my review of City Hunters, or City Hunter. Go watch it. It's on Netflix. Get the numbers up there, and maybe we might get a sequel. All right, guys. Bye-bye. Toodaloo.